Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Leah, always the first one in the house. Hope you are not having to hide in the restroom at work just to hear this. It's nothing over the moon important. What's up, Jimmy? First off, I want to thank everybody who was on last night on the impromptu thing that I was a little late catching on to. We were going to go on last night because we had two fan members, Wayne Dupree and Nancy, that needed a little bit of help just to get through the month. And I was told before the show we didn't need it because the people had already stepped up before we even had a chance to get on last night. So what a bunch of fan members decided to do, I guess, is to like toss me into the mix there of the three people, and I'm just like overwhelmed by, I think, like 40 to 50 people reaching out to me. Unbelievable. You know, you don't understand how much that means to me. It's more the loyalty than anything else. So I wanted to, of course, come on here and thank you for that. The other thing I want to come on here is I owe it to you guys to keep you a little bit updated during the day, more than just the productions we do on YouTube, because it's so strange. All this stuff is so quick. Quicksilver politics here that it just moves so fast. Perhaps some of it needs explanation because the media outlets are at war with each other over a narrative. So I thought I would just jump in and do a little bit of that. But let me first tell you why I'm wearing a white hat. Why, Adam, are you wearing a white hat? You never wear a white hat. I am doing it because what Pulte is doing to Gretchen, I'm horrified. Go to vets, Gretchen, throwing in Mindy. It is absolute Mindy Robinson, and now one of my personal favorite Twitter follows, Jessie Jane Duff. I am just outraged that this Pulte guy has attempted to use his wealth not to enrich those who have nothing, but it flies in the face of philanthropy to turn around and go after Coda Vets, which is a nonprofit which has to follow the same rules a lot of us do in the nonprofit world. I know how difficult it is. We have to make sure we have lawyers and accountants that overlook everything to make sure everything's good, and that's how we stay in good standing with the FEC. But I know that it's not always easy to have staff, to employ staff, especially when you want to try to get that money out to vets to do the right thing. I don't know Gretchen personally. I've never spoken with Gretchen personally. I don't even think we follow each other on Twitter. But I will say this. You could see it coming from a mile away, like one of those storms Leah probably sees down there on the coast in Florida, coming in over the ocean from a mile away from their first little disagreement until, and don't worry about comments going over my face because nobody needs to see my face anyway. So I want to get that out of the way. Why am I wearing a white hat? It's not because I'm in a white knight mood right now. I don't need to white knight for these three strong women. I mean, it's pretty clear you don't have to white knight for Jessie, Mindy, or Gretchen. Okay, they're going to do their own. They're going to handle their own business. But what I'm here to say is that if anything is required, anything is needed, any assistance or counsel, legal or otherwise, is necessary to keep each of them doing what they do, then we stand at the ready. And I'm sure that you all agree with me that not only did the MAGA Coalition stand at the ready, all the people that follow in our ranks and all the people in the Dixie Cup Nation fam will follow in our ranks. We will not let this bully use his checkbook and the bully pulpit he's built by scamming 750,000 followers to follow him. It's disgusting. The whole thing is littered with nonsense and misinformation to lead people astray from what's really going on. I'm still piecing it together. We have teams of people, separate teams of people that are all working on the same thing. Sergeant Grissom, he is absolutely on point with his rants, which are not rants really at all. They're actually pretty cogent responses to these threats that Henry Davis has lobbed against him and others. Ali Akbar is probably one of the biggest degenerates that currently is allowed to be on Twitter, because as we know, Jacob Wall is not currently allowed to be on Twitter. So Ali Akbar is such an objectionable person. Bill Pulte has designated Ali Akbar to be the one to defend his honor. Now, if you hire, which Ali has admitted receiving money from Bill Pulte, if you hire Ali Akbar to defend your honor, you have no honor. There we go. Okay, you see that little slogan? If you need to hire Ali to defend you, then you already have no honor. Don't worry about it, buddy. I mean, it tells us more, Pulte, about you than anything. You are not doxxed. You are not under attack by anyone. You are simply being asked questions. Your response to that is to panic like a snowflake, talk about litigious actions left and right. Now you're including Jesse Jane Duffy into this. You're including Mindy Robinson. You're including, of course, Gretchen now. Now you're calling her out for being in receipt of $20,000 from you. I would tell her to give the money back, but I know it's already gone to veterans because that's what they do. So, Pulte, if you think you can bully these women, if you think you can take your Napoleonic little histrionics on Twitter and translate them into anything more, if you think you can fly around this country and sit with Twitter personalities explaining how great it is what you're doing to get them to shut up and to get some of the people that are friends or family of them to shut up, then you haven't met me. You haven't met Ginger McQueen. You haven't met the members of the MAGA coalition. So I don't mean to delve off into this negative territory because it should be a positive day. The Democrats have once again stepped into what appears to be a self-inflicted planted mine that has blown up on them as opposed to the enemy of them, which of course is Donald Trump. So I have other things to explain and I don't have a lot of time. So what I'm going to do is just wrap this up by saying, why are you wearing a white hat today, Adam Gingrich? Why are you wearing a white hat? I'm here to say I will white hat. I will be the guy. I will not white knight. I don't have to. I don't need to white knight to protect these women. These ladies protect themselves. Jesse, Mindy, Gretchen, they protect themselves every bit as much as the great Ginger McQueen does for her own stuff. But you've got our attention now. And I will white hat on Twitter. I will try to do what these asshats in D.C. should be doing for their president, which is identify these black hat deep state members and prevent them from putting together a loosely collected garbage bag of hearsay that they call a intelligence assessment and a whistleblower report. So we need to be absolutely vigilant. I plan on being that. I have only just begun, Bill Pulte. I have only just begun. How dare you threaten them in the way that you did, publicly and openly on Twitter, knowing that they had nothing to do with a mistake by a former Marine who was promised assistance by you, like thousands of others have been promised assistance by you, Pulte. You did not deliver. And when you don't deliver, people come knocking to find out why. And it doesn't matter if it was your money, somebody else's money, Cash App money. It doesn't matter what happened and why. What matters is you are raising money in the name of helping others. You are taking other people's money and giving it away. I don't care what the ratio is of your inheritance that you got from your grandfather that you're deciding to give away. I don't care. That's not important to me. What I care is you are raising other people's money, using teammates to do it, and vet all these people. So if these poor people that literally have no other chance in life but to get GoFundMe funding online, they have to go through your one or two teammates, who, by the way, one was a raging liberal. I don't want to give too much about her identity away. She's not PA Philanthropy. She's the other one. So you can pretty much put two and two together there. And she used to tweet and like Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, and Elizabeth Warren, trashing Donald Trump. And all of a sudden, Bill Pulte comes into the mix in August. Now she's retweeting Donald Trump. Now she's vetting people to see if they are approved to get a GoFundMe through the Pulte Philanthropy, which is basically them promoting other people's GoFundMe. But here's the catch. You got to give them your home address. You got to give them your email. You got to give them your phone number. You got to give them the actual bills that you owe. Well, that is digital gold, which is always sold off. It is sold off by Twitter. It is sold off by Facebook. It is sold off by Instagram. It is sold off by everyone. Google, that, YouTube, they all make their money this way. All the parent companies and all of the subsidiaries. Digital information is gold. It's advertising gold. It's sold off to vendors of all kinds. That is exactly what's going on here with Bill Pulte. He is proving to everyone that he is a scumbag, truly a scumbag, which is my personal opinion. It is, if I want to, I can convene a meeting of the officers of the MAGA coalition, and we will put together a corporate resolution indicating that we, the MAGA coalition, find Bill Pulte to be a scumbag, which, of course, is our opinion of a self-proclaimed public figure. Good luck. If you want to sue anybody over that, good luck. Good luck. Keep threatening women like this, and people are going to find out all 5'6" of you or 5'5" of you is just stacked piles of shit. It's a shitty way to treat people. We know what you are. You're a bully with a thick pocketbook. Congratulations for being born on third base, Bill. Stop acting like you hit a triple. You got it? You were born on third base. Grandfather made you a rich kid. You didn't hit a triple. Okay? You don't have the right to tell other people what they have to do to jump through hoops to access, in some cases, life-saving money. Don't hold it over their head like the sword of Damocles. Don't digitize and database their freaking personal information. Don't do it. That's it. I'm done on that. That's why the white hat is on today. Now, and if I have one last thing to say about it, is all I ask is that you look at the facts, look at the Pulte tweets he's putting out. If you're not blocked, find another way to look at them. Other people's timelines, like myself, will screenshot them, put them out there. Support Mindy, support Gretchen, and I'm not talking financially. Jesse Jane, I don't care about financially. You don't need to support anybody financially. But you need to support them, retweet them, get their story out there, because they are getting bombarded and threatened by Pulte teammates, of which there are hundreds of thousands of mostly ridiculously newly created Twitter profiles that are just hungrily grabbing for any kind of money they can get out of this guy to squeeze this tiny little checkbook until there's nothing left of whatever it is somebody gave him to give away. So I don't care what the ratio is, Bill. If you gave a little bit of your own money away, we know that you're giving other people's money away. It's been said, it's been noted, and now you have used Gretchen to build up your mission. You used her in images, you used her in videos, you used her in your little sweepstakes transition, and you tried to silence her with the $20,000, which worked for a little bit, but now it's done. And that $20,000 stays in their pocket, goes out to veterans, and if they have any questions about compliance with the 501c3 laws, they can, of course, ask us, and we will try to assist in any way possible from a pro bono standpoint, as long as it doesn't violate any of our articles as a corporation ourselves. So that's it. I'm done with Bill Pulte. He is a tiny man with Napoleon syndrome, and Twitter should just kick his ass to the curb. So if you're expecting any money from this guy because you followed him or retweeted him, you are basically chasing a dollar bill through the trailer park. Unfollow him, move on with your life. He is a POS. Now, what happened today in the Intelligence Committee hearing in the House was almost indescribable. Fellow Democrats have been talking in the hallways since later this morning and this afternoon about Adam Schiff, about how potentially he may be the wrong person to be at the point of this investigation, which Pelosi designated falls under the jurisdiction of the Intelligence Committee. Jerry Nadler's already very upset at the way Adam Schiff conducted himself today. It was humiliating. You might as well put Maxine Waters up there. Adam Schiff opened the testimony of the DNI, our new DNI, McGuire, with a fake transcript, which he later called parody when called out for his abuse. He read a fake transcript into the record to the American people that were watching. I mean, imagine that. This is supposed to be the chairman. It was a horrifying moment, which I believe Representative Turner from Ohio, during his questioning, indicated, Mr. Chairman, I've just received a text message from a colleague saying, is he making this up? And my answer to them is, yes, he's literally making this up. At which point, Adam Schiff is forced to defend himself as just saying, it's parody to draw the illusion of what, they want them to think happened, which didn't happen. Now, is this a real intelligence? Is this a real CIA officer? Is this a real IC officer? Is this somebody who has the actual ability to draw up a professional IC assessment? We're getting mixed reports now. We've got reports that it was not a person from the intelligence community. Now we have reports from the New York Times and the Washington Post that this person was at one point, if not still is, assigned by the CIA to the White House as an attachment to the NSC. So we've got all kinds of problems here. And if you want to believe James Rosen, who is generally a pretty good source on this kind of stuff because he doesn't give a shit about the blowback of his reporting and still does have good behind-the-scenes intelligence community assets as far as people giving him what's really going on, Rosen is basically saying this may have been just an attaché to the NSC, and third hand is getting direct assistance not only from somebody else in the White House, from high up enough to know that this was a separately controlled conversation as far as security measures between Zelensky and Trump. The conversation was not placed in traditional channels. Now, the White House has a fantastic reason for that, because the White House doesn't want its own intelligence community, which is obviously skewed with Trump haters, to have access to his phone call with Zelensky talking about corruption. So, if you want to talk about Von Vonovich or whatever that crazy chick's name was, the terrible, corrupt U.S. ambassador to the Ukraine that we had to forcibly remove, as I said, with a crowbar, she was laying all kinds of dirt trails over in Ukraine, and then she was pulling out all kinds of dirt and sending it back to the FBI and the Department of State to use against Donald Trump. So she is really in it. Yeah, CrowdStrike's all part of this. So they have been covering up their tracks now for 3 freaking years in the Ukraine. And Trump is basically saying to Zelensky, listen, this isn't about the money. They never talked about the money. He's just telling him, you got to clean up your government. I don't know how to treat you guys until I see how you're going to be as an administration, because the past administration, the Ukrainian government was a mess. Everything was a mess. It was all corrupt. So Trump actually is if he would have left out all the stuff about Biden and his kid, it would have been an actual study in advanced geopolitical diplomacy. It would have been beautiful. It would have been saying, listen, Europe's not giving you guys any money. The last time we gave you a bunch of money, you fired a prosecutor who was looking into a gas company that had the vice president's son on the board. It was paying him $50,000 a month. And we don't know why, because other than being in the Navy and snorting a lot of cocaine, that's as close to energy as this guy actually has in his background. So he didn't have to say Biden's name. So like I said, 1,000,000 times, Trump is not schooled in the art of diplomacy. He doesn't know how to speak subtly. He's a deal maker. He's a transactional guy. Thank God that he's not so transactional that he flat out said in the conversation, you ain't getting this $400 million unless you look into Biden and work with my personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani. So 2 things Trump shouldn't have done, as I would call them non-impeachable faux pas. 1, don't bring up a political opponent. Don't bring up the odds-on likely nominee to run against you next year in the presidential. That is what they call dumb. Don't do that. Faux pas number 1. Faux pas number 2, don't commingle your personal attorney in Rudy Giuliani and your attorney general, William Barr. Don't commingle them. They don't have the same job. The attorney general is not there to do anything at your bidding. The attorney general is there to protect everything in the executive branch, and that goes to the Constitution, not to your your Article 2 authorities. So please, Mr. President, I know William Barr has been pretty good about doing what you want, but William Barr is not your attorney. Stop treating him like your attorney. Stop talking about him like he's your attorney. So 2 faux pas. Are they impeachable? No. Are they, can you impugn his credibility as a president or not his credibility, but his moral character? Yeah, you can, but if you didn't already know that about Trump, then you weren't paying attention in the first place. So there's 2 things he shouldn't have done there. 1, drop Biden, and 2, commingle Giuliani and William Barr. Shouldn't have done that. So what we have here is Trump sits around and he has an obsession with going on the offensive. He hates being on the defensive. So what he does is he goes out like he has yesterday and today, and he wants to concentrate on the UN. He can't because of all this shit that's going on. So what he does is he's bobbing, he's weaving, he's swinging, he's in the ring, he's fighting, he's a pugilist. And then he watches the coverage later and realizes that he comes off as defensive. So he doesn't like that stuff. He wants to go on the offense, 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 offense. No one around him is telling him how to go on offense because he doesn't have to. He's the president of the United States. He should sit back and let all this shit wash over him and just move on to face the next day's challenges, act like a leader, act like you've got a world full of problems, and do that. So he's got a bunch of very cautious cabinet members. He's got people that know what they're doing, like Mike Pompeo, Nick Mulvaney. He's got, finally, and Pat Cipollone, he's got a better chief counsel. They don't want anything to do with these wild-eyed ideas that Rudy is coming up with. So if Trump is sitting at 7 or 8 or 9 p.m. with Rudy Giuliani, and Rudy is giving him these ideas of how to go on the offensive, and Trump is thinking this is a good idea, he knows what he's talking about. This guy is a former federal prosecutor, mayor of New York. This guy knows what he's doing. Rudy is a dinosaur, Mr. President. He is a dinosaur, and he only knows how to work under the rules that are not at play anymore. And he's got a shitload of enemies just like you, but in different spots. So, stop listening to Rudy Giuliani. For God's sakes, do not send him out there under the auspices of the State Department or not to go to any country in Eastern Europe. Any former bloc from the Soviet nation. Please, don't do that. That's my plea to you. Don't do that. We won't run into these problems anymore. All right? Simple. We won't have this problem anymore. And it's not a matter of anybody else telling the president this. He does get told this all the time. And then he gets very irritated with the people that are telling him. Anybody like me that would get hired and get a high enough position that I'm actually in the room as a deputy chief of staff or whatever, and I open up my mouth, I'm out the door. Okay? You won't ever see me again. I'll be in some part of the West Wing where I'm in a cubbyhole. This is how we've gotten to where it is. Do you think Mulvaney really wants to be where he is right now? Give me a yes or a no. Do you think Mulvaney really wants to be where he is? Yes or no? What's your opinion about Mulvaney wanting to be where he is? Absolutely right, everybody. This is not Mulvaney's idea of a good time. It's just not. This is not what he wants to be doing. He didn't sign up for this. He is straddling two roles, but the main role here is, of course, chief of staff. He has been belittled. He has been reprimanded. He has been subjugated in some of his duties. The president will listen to you when you tell him you don't agree with him. And then later on, he will find somebody to agree with whatever his assessment is. And then he'll start listening to you until you tell him something isn't a good idea. Then he will move on and find somebody else to do it. The reason why the Democrats have stepped in it this time is because if this really is just, like I said, some bullshit attaché to the NSC, where the NSC didn't even have a meeting for 3 months because Bolton didn't want to convene one. If this guy or gal, a lot of people seem to think it's Susan Wood or whatever. I don't have any ideas. I'm not making any suppositious remarks on who this whistleblower is. But if this whistleblower guy or gal has any personal relationship with John Bolton, then we got a problem. We got a problem because I don't know what the hell is going to come out of Bolton's mouth. My suggestion to John Bolton is do not step on a hornet's nest with this shit. If you had substantive disagreements on policy with the president, do not take that and punt it over into the IC so that it gets up a different chain of command. And that's exactly what happened here. This is a policy issue. This is not an intelligence issue. This was never supposed to be reviewed in the way that it was. It has gone up through this pipeline because they didn't want it to go up through any other chain of command where it would have been shut down. Now you've got this acting ODNI. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. You've got an IG in the IC community that's just too scared not to cover his own ass by elevating the whistleblower complaint because he knows by the time that whistleblower report hits his desk. And now I'm talking about the intelligence community inspector general. By the time that whistleblower report, as ridiculous as it is, you all read it today, hits his desk, he knows that Adam Schiff already knows about it. He knows that Adam Schiff is already aware of the details. So he knows his ass is in a sling. If he goes back to the whistleblower and says, this isn't really appropriate, this is kind of a partisan hit job, and you're talking about policy, this isn't really an intelligence assessment, he knows if he does that, they're going to out him and call him before Congress and demand why he didn't elevate it. So guess what? Like every other human being that wants to keep a job in the future, in the government, doesn't want to get called out, doesn't want to be politicized because he's an inspector general, he elevates it to McGuire's office. McGuire's brand spanking new, taking over for old senile asshat named Dan Coates, who didn't know what the hell was going on, just took his chief of staff word and went with it every day. So that's what you have. That's where we got to where we are today. Where McGuire stuck, a naval guy, a career officer, sworn to uphold the Constitution like 8 times during his career. His character being questioned by the likes of Eric Nuke the Citizen Swalwell and, Adam Pencilneck Schiff, who's literally lying about the transcript on national television. It is so bizarre that you must suspend disbelief in order to, kind of put it all in perspective. So people want to know, it's over and it's blown up in the Democrats' face. Not necessarily, because what it did is it shoved about 30 to 40 middle-of-the-road Democrats over into the, yeah, sure, I'll impeach him, or I'll vote to move forward with impeachment. So you've got like 218 now, including Justin Amash, the independent. So once you get around 224, 225, that's the tipping point. Pelosi has to call the vote, and they vote to move forward with impeachment to draft articles. So, they're right on the line. They really don't care if there's no crime committed because it's political. You don't need a crime to be committed. It's easier and cleaner when it is, like Clinton lying under oath and obstructing justice by trying to tamper with witnesses and suborning perjury. Sure, of course. That's easier, and that's what happened in 1998. But never have we dealt with the situation with a first-term president. Never have we dealt with it with a president who was maintaining a 50 to 51% daily tracking poll rating. And never have we dealt with it with the Congress and the media in the low teens as far as whether or not the American people trust them. Both of them in the low teens. That's the power of the presidency. He is going to consolidate 50% of the country behind him. And then the rest are all fighting for the crumbs of credibility, and they're going to lose. So, the Mitt Romneys and the Tim Scotts of the Senate, they would like nothing more. The Markowskis, they would like nothing more than for this to get rooted in reality so that they could just continue to hamstring everything the administration wants to do. So now in the Senate, I'll explain real quickly what's going on in the Senate. Richard Burr, asshat that he is the Republican senator just elected. Is 60, got another couple years, so he's not really overly scared of Trump right now. He should be, because he still has to come up in 2022, and he should be acting like Tillis, but he's not. Tillis doesn't like the president. The other senator from North Carolina is up. Tillis doesn't like the president any more than Burr does, but Tillis is now like the biggest backer of Trump he could possibly be. It's his only hope to win re-election. So Burr is the Senate Intelligence Committee chairman, opposite of Minority Chair Mark Warner, who's insane, has TDS, and it's not, unfortunately, it's fatal for him. He can't recover from it. It's going to be a chronic condition as long as Trump is alive. So they have this fantasy that they have this bipartisan committee, that they have this, for lack of a better word, unimpeachable standing on the Hill. So Burr is telling Senate leadership that he doesn't want to investigate into what happened because he doesn't want to get into the Biden stuff. So he's saying this doesn't fall under my purview. And he wants to leave the president hung out to dry. So Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, same boat, elected narrowly in 2016. He is saying, Foreign Affairs Committee, he's saying, I'll investigate it. This is mine. This is mine. I will look into what the Bidens were doing. I will look into this former U.S. ambassador under Obama and how she came up with information from the Ukrainian government. I will look into why the previous Ukrainian prosecutor was fired in the middle of an investigation into a natural gas company which employed Hunter Biden for $50,000 a month. I will look into this. So it's more or less like you got Lindsey Graham and Judiciary, who's the only guy on the Capitol Hill who is actually going to take the FISA-Gate report and try to litigate what really happened to assist with the Durham investigation. So that's what's going on there. So there's a fight in the Senate where Burr wants to leave the president hung out to dry. You've got a few senators who just hate the president, like Mitt Romney, Tim Scott in South Carolina. Cory Gardner doesn't know what to do with this president because president's not popular in Colorado. But guess where he is popular? Iowa. And so Joni Ernst is like all about defending the president. It is blatant politics. And then you have Susan Collins, Maine. Trump's underwater up there. She doesn't know what to do with this. So she's being conservative with her estimates. Ben Sass, he's up for election this year, hates the president, but doesn't want to step on him too much. So he uses words like very troubling and, things like that so that he can keep the president, in flux. What are the chances, you ask, Adam? What are the chances between 1 and 100%? 1% meaning no impeachment at all vote is taken, and then 100% that he's convicted by the Senate and removed from office. It is about a 33% chance, because I think that they're moving to a better than a coin flip chance that eventually they're not going to wait too long. They're going to take this stuff and burn it while it's hot. I don't think they're going to wait any longer. There's not going to be 6 committee hearings into this. Pelosi's got one chance, and it's now to set forth, and I'm talking like early October, push for a vote to move forward with impeachment. I don't think there will be a final vote on the impeachment articles. I don't think if there are, they'll get more than a bare majority to do it, which means it'll be dead in the water by the time it gets to the Senate. But I think it's so important that they're sacrificing Joe Biden's campaign for this. The Democrats would not move forward in this process as aggressively as they have if they weren't going to follow through with something, because they are killing Joe Biden's presidency. It'll never happen. They're killing it in the cradle. All aspirations of winning the presidency are being killed in the cradle by Democrats. Now, I knew Hillary would bring out the swords, but I didn't know that the entire Capitol Hill would just say, you know what, crazy Uncle Joe, we've had enough of your shit. And, if this is what we have to do, you're collateral damage. We want to take Trump out, you're collateral damage. There is no way to move forward with the Ukrainian issue and impeachment without serious investigations being done by the Senate into the former prosecutor that was fired. They will have the complete joint assistance of the Ukrainian government to work with the State Department and the Justice Department to look into exactly what occurred. And Biden is going to come up in a real bad way. And of course, they're going to look into the China stuff. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible news for Biden that he does not have a response. You can see he's clearly agitated. He's trying to take a strong stance against the president, and it's not working. It is not working for Joe Biden. Warren is rising. It is something that some have pushed for a while. I'm on that side of the fence as well. I believe Warren is already on record saying things that are so absurd that she is unelectable. And I believe that Wall Street will pull and then eventually cut the purse strings of her campaign. She will not be able to live by Act Blue alone or small donations alone. She will run into the vote total wall that Obama did in 2012, which is not enough to beat Donald Trump in 2020. So I don't want to play politics with this too much, but we will take a brief hit on the Ukrainian issue because Trump, again, has made questionable decisions. Sorry about that. See if I'm still alive here. I don't have a lot of time. Girls are coming home. So I'm wrapping up anyway. Anyway, what I was going to say is this, of course, collateral damage. The Democrats know what it is. The assessment is that Biden's campaign will be severely hindered to the point of potentially losing all fundraising support. A lot of the unions, late unions will break. Early unions already broke for him that are going to break, like firefighters. The unions in Iowa, if they break towards Warren, he's done. If he does not win Iowa, he's in serious problem territory. If he finishes third in New Hampshire, he's in serious problem territory. And of course, if he doesn't win South Carolina outright by 10 plus points, he's in serious problematic territory. It's too late for anybody else. There's no Oprah Winfrey, Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton. No one else is jumping into this at all. That's wildly insane when you think about we're only months away from January, and you would need to have a huge infrastructure up to run in these states that they've been campaigning in for months. So nobody else is jumping in to save them. This is going to come down to whether or not they want to do Kamala Harris or Elizabeth Warren. I think Bernie will stay in to the end, but I think Bernie is really just slipping because the press is cutting Bernie off. The press is no longer interested in Bernie. The Democrats on the Hill are no longer interested in Bernie. And Elizabeth Warren is no longer taking the bait when he comes up with the crazy, fantastical ideas of like not only forgiving student loans, but forgiving medical bill debt, which is another insane idea, and taxation policies that would cost Jeff Bezos $9 billion in a year. So Warren is now trying to wrench herself back to the middle, and it's just not going to work because she's already on record for reparations, not only for African Americans. She's on record saying she would seriously look into reparations for homosexuals, which I don't even know what that means. I don't know how you would give reparations for someone's sexual orientation. It is just that far off the rails. And then when you dive into her career as a hypocrite and taking $50,000 to be heard at a speech and then calling herself just a humble professor / politician, using her heritage that wasn't even real, everything she thinks about the banks and the banking system in Wall Street, which is so antiquated and socialized that it's just it's unelectable in Middle America. It certainly won't fly in Florida. It won't fly in Georgia. It won't fly in North Carolina. All the states where the Dems think that they have a shot to flip, it's certainly not going to fly in Texas, another place where they think they can invest. That's all dead in the water. It's not going to fly in Iowa with the farmers there. So, she might fly in Minnesota. She might put that back in a win column for them. I don't know. But I'm not going to get too far into that. What I want to say is that if the Democrats move forward, and they're about 10 votes shy right now of a point where Pelosi can't turn around and refuse them a vote on the floor to move forward with impeachment. So they're still 10 votes short. The whistleblower will get a chance to go behind closed doors. That testimony will be leaked. I read the everything that's involved here, the whistleblower report, the transcripts of the call, the situation with the computer-enhanced security. It appears that we've got real issues on their part where the IG has said this is a partisan person. I'm sending the report up, but it's somebody who hates Trump. So, again, we're back in Peter Strzok, Lisa Page territory. So I wouldn't get overly worked up for it, but don't go around beating your chest. Trump did not need to do what he did. It was sloppy. It was stupid. He did not learn a lesson at all from what the special prosecutor, special counsel office delivered in a documentation. He did not learn anything if he got on the phone days later and decided to talk about Biden. So the president can get smarter, save us a lot of problems. The president probably talked enough about this and should stop talking about it. And then our lingering problems will be with Rudy Giuliani and how his answers changed and what he was doing trying to get into the Ukraine. That's the whole issue. We'll see what happens on that. Rudy should just get out of the picture now, get off the TV, let this thing wash over because it's not really that dangerous. So again, my white hat is on today because I feel that we all need to be Twitter white hats, protect from deep pocketbook bullies like Bill Pulte who are running a scam on you. Don't get intimidated by seemingly esoteric but really pretty simplistic people like Scott Adams. Don't worry about it. I see what he's trying to do, bully and isolate people on Twitter because he and Bill Pulte might just be in business together on something. But I'll get into that another time. I'm with you. I stand with Gretchen and Coda Vets. I stand with Mindy Robinson, I Heart Mindy, and I stand with Jessie Jane Duff. If they need anything, they can contact myself or Ginger McQueen. We stand by, ready to help people who are being bullied on Twitter. And for the truth, we're taking out liars, losers, LARPers, and scammers, kicking them to the curb. So when 2020 gets here, it's about one man and one man only, and that's Donald Trump. Now we just need to get him out of his own way, and then we can roll to a nice, comfortable margin of victory in 2020. That's all I've got to say, other than a final thank you to everybody who surprisingly reached out to me. I wish I could thank you all by emails, but a lot of it's anonymous. Those who I know, I will reach out. And a special thanks to the people that went above and beyond to help Wayne and Nancy. If you can help Nancy Couch, please do so. And if you can help, go to Wayne's show. He will have his links. If you're interested in helping Nancy a little bit, reach out to Glenn, myself, or Ginger McQueen. That's where we're at. I appreciate everybody. I'm going to have a new article out on wicmediaproduction.com for the first time because a good friend of mine in California told me that I had to do it. So I'm going to listen to her. I'm going to put myself back out there again on my website. That's 3 cups of coffee in, really fast, low battery, Periscope. Thanks, everybody. I'll leave it up for the rewatch.